I do, yes sir.
Gary does actually work for the Department of Agriculture, and he has for the past 27 years. And you know, he's the director of our food distribution division. And I mentioned all of the food commodities that that we move around the state. He actually not only delivers these commodities, but he stores these USDA commodities and Department of Defense commodities for the food banks, the school cafeterias, hunger relief organizations. And how much did you deliver last year? Was
66.
$66 million worth of food that his division moved out into the state of North Carolina. And the Got to Be NC marketing program actually started with his division and the tractor trailers that he has to haul this food. And we started that program with putting Got to Be NC on each one of these trailers, and you will see them all across the state. And that unity came in again, and the way we did it, the different commodity groups in the state paid for their own banners to put on these trucks, and that was the beginning of Got to Be NC, which has now grown into a nationally awarded marketing campaign, and we do that every day. Gary knows his way around this campus. He is a 1983 graduate with a degree in field crop technology. He's very active in a number of professional and civic organizations. He belongs to the American Commodities Distribution Association and to the School Nutrition Association, and he's past president of the Pilot Lions Club and a deacon and member of Pilot Baptist Church. He's also had the pleasure of testifying before Congress twice on USDA food programs, and I can truly tell you he is a dedicated employee of the state of North Carolina and has done an outstanding job. And he also runs the farm to school program that we have in North Carolina. Last year we almost broke $1 million in commodities that are taken directly from the farms to the school cafeterias, and I'm fully expecting to go over that $1 million mark for the first time this year, and it's a wonderful program. So Gary, you want to tell us about the things that you do in the nutrition part of the Farm Bill?
Glad to, Commissioner. I'm going to kind of change things up a little bit. I'm going to do a PowerPoint, so I'm going to kind of step back here so run the slides and all. But it is an honor to be here, and I do appreciate this. We said a little bit about nutrition, and it's kind of an odd bedfellow here, but nutrition in the Farm Bill, you know, how does it come about? And I'm going to tell you our role that we play before I get into and drill down into the Farm Bill and the nutrition part of it. As the Commissioner said, we administer the USDA commodity programs or nutrition programs for the state of North Carolina. And as last year you can see here where we did $66 million. This is not money per se, it's paper money. This is actual food. This is boxes of food that we store, receive, and distribute to all the 100 counties. And you can see the biggest program of all up top is the public school system, the National School Lunch Program, where we distributed $42 million last year to all the schools in North Carolina. And I'm not going to go down this by item, but a little way down, the emergency feeding organizations is another program we're going to talk about in the Farm Bill. This is food that goes to food banks, soup kitchens, to feed people in need of food who've lost their jobs and come upon hard times, and we did like $21 million in that last year. So we served 451 agencies in this state, and we did $66 million last year. You know, how do we do this? We have 2 warehouses. We own one warehouse, and we lease another one. We have a warehouse in Butner and one in Salisbury, and then we have a fleet of trucks that moves this food across the state to these agencies. Now, just to look at, before we talk about the Farm Bill, the total U.S. budget is $3.5 trillion. The ag budget is $155 billion. The nutrition part of the ag budget is $110 billion. Again, that kind of surprised me when I was working on this, how much of the nutrition part is of the ag budget. 71% of the ag budget consists of nutrition programs. Now let's take a look at the Farm Bill. In 2002, 2008, you can see there in the blue, as Peter had mentioned, nutrition takes up a great amount of the Farm Bill. It was 62% in 2002, up to 68% in 2008. And the big program that takes a lot of the money in nutrition programs is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, what we know it as the Food Stamp Program. That's the big thing that takes up so much of the money in nutrition in the Farm Bill. SNAP, it serves 40 million people, and it receives 64% of the Farm Bill funding. That is great. That's huge. It's a large amount. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about the programs that we work with in the state here and some of the things that come about in nutrition in the Farm Bill. And I kind of got it broken down here, but in 2008, this program here is the Emergency Food Assistance Program. This is where we give food to food banks, food pantries, food closets, soup kitchens to serve people in need. You can see in 2008, it was getting $190 million. That's what the Farm Bill had appropriated. Okay, when the funding started to flow after the Farm Bill was signed in 2009, that's kind of when the money started coming in. It jumped to $250 million, $248, $245, $239. You can look to the right there and see what we were getting. Before, in 2008, we only got $6.4 million. Then it doubled to $15 million. Then it tripled from 2008 to $18 million. Then it quadrupled to $23 million from 2008 to 2011. So we were, in North Carolina, receiving a big impact from the Farm Bill in 2008 in this program here. We were getting a lot of food coming into the state, and it came, I guess you could say, at a good time because we saw record unemployment rates. A lot of people lost their jobs, and we saw in the news the food banks were showing, our shelves were empty. This food was coming in, it was going out to people in need. One other thing that in the Farm Bill, this affected mostly the National School Lunch Program, was it had in there about fruits and vegetables. It requires the Secretary of Ag to procure fruits and vegetables in frozen, canned, dried, or fresh for use in the nutrition programs. You can see in 2008 it was $190 million. It went up some each year to $206 million. In North Carolina we got $10 million in 2008, and now it went up to high as $18 million that we received. And most of this food was purchased and went into the schools. Some went into the emergency feeding program, but most of it went into schools as canned, frozen, or dried fruit. Some fresh, most of it was in the frozen, canned, or dried form. This is a program we do not do in the department, but it does have an impact on farmers in this state. This is a mandatory funding for the fresh fruit and vegetable program. This program was started by Senator Dole when she was the senator here so many years ago. Before the Farm Bill was signed, it was at $40 million. When the Farm Bill was put into play, it increased the funding every year up to $150 million. We're getting now in this state $3.9 million this past year, and you can see the schools that are on it now from 25 to 169, and 75 elementary students are benefiting from this program. This program is administered by the Department of Public Instruction, DPI. Schools have to do like a grant proposal to get on this program. They have to apply if they're chosen. They receive about $70 per pupil for the year to serve fresh fruits. And a lot of these fresh fruits and vegetables come from farmers in the state. And it comes through our farm to school program. Some are bought directly from farmers. But this is not using the breakfast or lunch program. These are like items where kids get them in the classroom, they pick them up when they're changing classes, after school, before school. They have stations in the school, fruit baskets or whatever, kiosks, where kids go by, they grab a banana, they grab an apple, they grab a pear, and they go to class. And it's a way of trying to teach kids good eating habits, introduce them to fruits and vegetables. And this might have been, to me, one of the most important things that came out of the 2008 Farm Bill, and it didn't cost any money. So a lot of things that are in the Farm Bill do cost money, but some things can have a big impact as policy that does not cost any money. That directs the Agriculture Secretary to encourage schools to purchase locally, which is good. But the thing was, it allows use of geographic preference for schools in purchasing locally. For a school system to buy fruits and vegetables from a farmer, they ain't got to do a competitive bid. They are required, since they receive federal money, they have to follow federal procurement regulations. So they have to do competitive pricing. And before the Farm Bill was signed, if they wanted to buy apples, they'd have to specify in their bid, I want to buy apples. And so they do a bid. If Washington State has had a good crop, they can kind of flood the market here, and they would have to end up buying Washington State apples. Well, with this language change, it now allowed them to put in, I want to buy North Carolina apples, I want to buy North Carolina melons, North Carolina sweet potatoes, North Carolina strawberries. So this was very big, and Commissioner Troxler, he had a very big hand in getting this changed, because at that time, I believe it was Saxby Chambliss was the chair of the Senate Ag Committee, and the commissioner went to him and said, you know, we need to get this put in the Farm Bill, because this will really help farmers selling locally to schools. And he did, and our Farm to School program really took off when this was passed. And I just wanted to show you this graph here of our Farm to School sales from 2009 to 2012. You can see we almost every year we've gone almost $100,000 increase in sales, and this year in 2012 we should we're already very close to the $1 million mark now. So the strawberry season comes on. If that frost doesn't get us tonight, Senator Jackson, we should be okay. So I think we'll break a record again. But this was very big in helping farmers sell locally to schools. And just to kind of stray away of talking about farm to school and the impact of the local food movement has, is the North Carolina House Select Committee on Childhood Obesity just recently released some things they wanted to see done, and one of them was require the Department of Public Instruction to work with schools to increase the use of locally grown fruits and vegetables in our farm to school program, which means they'll be buying more from farmers, which is good. One other thing that was in the Farm Bill that impacted our program some with schools, and we piloted this right after the Farm Bill was signed in 2008, was to purchase more whole grain products for the use in the school lunch program. And you see these items here now are a staple in school cafeterias. No more if you go into a school where you see spaghetti or macaroni, it'll be whole grain spaghetti or whole grain macaroni. So all pasta items now are whole grain, and that's going toward the more healthy lunches. You hear talk about making the lunches more healthy, going to all whole grain. And the one big thing here is funding the National School Lunch Program, and this is just kind of a snapshot of the 4 years from 2009 to 2012, how much money goes into the National School Lunch Program that came from the Farm Bill. And to tie this back together, you know, well, what did the farmers get out of this Farm Bill from nutrition programs? Well, in 2011, USDA purchased $39 million from farmers and producers in this state that went into the nutrition program. Also, we had like $1 million that were farmers, the schools purchased from farmers in our farm to school program as well. So it is a tieback. So some of the nutrition programs, the food that comes through these programs, is bought and is bought from farmers and producers.
That was the point that I really wanted to bring out, that even though the nutrition program is not directly farm, it kind of is, because all these products that you see that we are distributing, some farmer has grown that product. And being in the pork industry, the poultry industry, and the sweet potato industry in North Carolina, a lot of companies and farmers have had the opportunity to sell product into this program. So it is a part of agriculture and part of the market for North Carolina agricultural products, and a very important piece of it. So it does tie in very well. And I just tell you how sometimes things get complicated. When the state budget got so bad 2 years ago, and the Office of State Budget instituted some rules that if I wanted to replace a light switch cover on the wall, I had to get special permission from them to replace that light switch cover, and the light switch cover probably cost 20 cents, and the paperwork probably cost $20. But that's the way it was. You have to live with it. But Gary had trucks on the road, and the way it was then, if he had a road tractor out there, and he blew a tire, I said, tell your driver to pack their lunch, because it may be 2 or 3 days before I can get you a tire to go on that truck. And every week, I'd call him at the end and say, Gary, are you going to have enough diesel fuel to get these food products out there to the school cafeterias and to the food banks? I mean, it got that bad, and there was no money. I mean, there just was no money. But we got by and got through it, and today we know how to operate without a lot of funds.